Before heading to the video, if you haven't subscribed the channel, do subscribe it and don't forget to click the bell icon for the latest update notification. If you like the video, do like, comment and share. Stay tuned with learnbay.co. Happy learning!
So probability, even before I, define it, any of you, can someone define probability on their own words? And this is for everyone because we have studied probability in elementary mathematics. Okay, maybe you are not remembering, but just tickle your, thinking and then just try to define what is probability.
Dhruv, I think probability is like what are the chances of things to be done or not.
Right. Okay. So as Mayank mentioned, probability, somehow relates us to the chance, right? So what happens is, okay, let's do one thing. Let's do it with the, okay. So let's talk about probability. Okay. Now, as someone really mentioned, rightly mentioned about the probability, that it relates to the chance. Okay. So before going to that, what is the value of probability in machine learning or deep learning, that I'm going to discuss a bit and then we will start. Okay. So what happens is whenever we are learning machine learning or deep learning concepts, basically algorithms. So all this algorithm uses probability. Okay, so most of these algorithm uses probability internally. Okay, so whenever you will have a good understanding of probability, okay, so it is obvious that you will have a good understanding of machine learning and deep learning concept. Your concept should be very solid. Okay, so the difference between knowing good stats and probability differentiates, you see, the in today's world, even I have seen people who haven't studied probability or stats, still they are solving questions in machine learning. Okay, so they are not knowing internally how to approach a particular problem. Okay, so what these tools do for you is, whenever you study probability as well as stats, whenever you approach any problem, a new problem comes to you, so your analogy becomes more strong. Okay, so your reasons which you will give for a particular algorithm to work on that particular scenario would be more stronger than others who don't know probability or stats. Is it clear? Now that is the value that we add by studying probability as well as stats. Okay, now we have seen why we are studying probability. Let's go ahead and see what is probability. Okay, now let me define probability. And okay, so probability is nothing but you can say numerical representation of likelihood of an event. Okay, now there are, this is the definition of probability. Okay, now there are three keywords that came into this. One is numerical representation, second is likelihood, and third is event. Right, we will define each of these concepts one by one. So what is numerical representation? Can I write it like this so that you guys can refer it later? Okay, so I'm
You
just
can.
yeah. So okay, so what is a numerical representation? So when I asked about probability, someone rightly mentioned that the probability is nothing but it tells us about the chances, right? Chances of any occurrence of any event, right? That is what a probability is. Now see the beauty of probability, that it relates. Okay, what are the chances to numerically. Okay, so without even studying probability, if I tell you that the probability of me teaching, let's say, a particular concept is 0.9, what would you refer to this, or how would you define this probability? You will say that chances are higher, right? If I say that a particular topic that I'll teach has a probability of 0.1, obviously you will say that the chances are less, correct? This is what probability does for us. It numerically relates us to the chances. Okay, so that is what the numerical representation does. Okay, that means, obviously, see, the probability ranges from 0 to 1. Okay, that means if the probability is more near to 1, okay, it has chances, the chances are higher. If it is more more towards the related to or near to the 0, the chances are less. Is this clear to everyone?
Yes.
Okay, so in that way it relates us to the chances. Okay, so this is the beauty of probability. Otherwise, if I tell you what are the what is the probability or what are the chances of raining tomorrow, okay, does it look anywhere near to numerical? No. What has rain has to do numerically to anything, or the chance of rain has to do numerically with anything, right? But probability does for us is it relates that particular event numerically. Okay, that means if I tell you the chance of having rain tomorrow is 0.7, that means you numerically told what are the chances, yes or no? So that numerical representation I was talking about in the definition. Okay, now let's see what is likelihood. Okay, what is likelihood? So likelihood is nothing but chance. Okay, this is nothing but chance. Whatever we were talking in terms of chances, that is nothing but the likelihood. So I can say that what is the likelihood of having rain tomorrow? Another way of saying it would be what are the chances of having rain tomorrow? Okay, so likelihood is more you can say probabilistic language, chance is more English language. Okay, clear? Now the third,
I have a question.
yeah,
You say probability is more of numerical, or it is a numerical representation. Is it yes or no a probability?
sorry, is
Yes or no is also a probability, right?
yes or no
Is also a probability, right?
I said numerical representation of a particular event. Okay,
So
Okay,
yes,
so
the
any
yes or no
event,
can be probability if the chances of yes or chances of no, then it
yes,
can be a
yes.
probability.
When you define it numerically, what are the chances of having yes? Yes is having yes is an event. That is what we are going to discuss next. Okay, you have to define between. Okay, when see, only it can become probability when you numerically represent that particular, the chance of yes or chance of no. You understand?
okay, got it, got it.
Okay, please mute yourself. So there is a bit of noise. Okay, now, so we have seen what is numerical representation, what is likelihood, and third thing that we defined is event. Okay, what is event? Okay, now event is nothing but an outcome of you can say random experiment. Okay, there is some delay in the writing that I'm doing. Okay, so yeah, so outcome of random experiment. Now what is random experiment? So okay, let me write it down and then we will discuss. Okay, so random experiment can be defined as nothing but, you can say, unbiased experiment that has certain that has certain outcome associated with it. Okay. Okay, now we have defined everything. Okay, now we know what is what is random experiment also. Let's go ahead and see it again. So I defined event in a way that it is nothing but the outcome of random experiment. Okay, now we all know what experiment is, but in probabilistic term, random experiment can be defined as not any unbiased experiment that has certain outcome associated with it. Okay, so before defining event, let's see what an example of random experiment looks like. Okay, let's say I toss a coin. So tossing a coin is not an event. Okay, so tossing a coin is not an event as per definition in probability. It's nothing but random experiment. Okay, the outcomes that are possible in this random experiment are events. So if I toss a coin, I can get a head. So getting a head, getting a tail, right? So these two are my set of events. So these are my events. Understood? Okay. So event, as we defined, is nothing but the outcome of random experiment. What is random experiment? Any unbiased experiment which has certain outcome associated with it. Okay, right? Unbiased. It should be unbiased. Now, if a coin is tossed and it is biased, then obviously it is not a random experiment. Okay, why? Because it is unbiased. You know the outcome of it. Okay, it can be an experiment, but it is not defined as a unbiased experiment or then the random experiment. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now, whenever I'll do any experiment, we'll call it random experiment, and the outcome that particular experiment bring to us, we will have events associated. Like this, I can tell event 1. This I can tell event 2. If there are more events, like for example, if I roll a dice. Okay. So okay, let's see. So rolling a dice, so there would be 1, 2, outcome can be any of these, right? So these are nothing but the possible possible events. Okay, and this particular thing is nothing but my random experiment. Is it clear?
Yes.
Now if I go to the definition of probability, now I know everything. Like we know everything, that probability is nothing but the numerical representation of likelihood of an event. Okay, what is numerical representation? Nothing but the numerical representation or the number representation of the chances. Okay, right? Now what we have defined as a numerical representation as probability is, it should always lie in between 0 and 1, including 0 and 1 also. Okay, now 0 means certainly not happening. Okay, and 1 means it is happening 100% chance. Okay, 100% chance or 100% likelihood. This is 0% chance or 0% likelihood. Intuitively I'm telling. Okay, though it is correct numerically also, but you have to keep it in mind. Okay, so what is probability of 1 means? So if I tell you that the probability of raining tomorrow is 1, that means rain will happen at any cost. Okay, probability of me teaching tomorrow is 0. That means there is 0% of 0% chance that I'll teach on Monday. You understand the difference? Okay, so now let's define. So numerical representation of likelihood. Likelihood is nothing but chance of an event. What is an event? Event is nothing but the outcome of our random experiment. Clear?
Yeah, it's clear. Yes.
Okay, let's go ahead and see whatever we have discussed. So we have discussed this. I'm not going to repeat it. Okay. Now we have seen that 1 is certain and 0 is cannot happen, right? Now classical definition of probability that you can see that we have already defined this, okay? But we haven't seen what is the formula of probability, okay? So how to calculate probability can be given as number of favorable outcomes to A or upon total number of outcomes. Why? Because we are calculating the probability of event A. Okay, now let's go back to our concept that we have discussed, and these are our events, right? These are our events. Okay, now if I ask ask you what is probability of occurrence of 2 when I roll a dice. Okay, so what would be our solution?
1/6.
1/6.
Okay, so we are saying that, for example, what is the probability of rolling a 2, right? Or occurrence of 2, whatever you want to say. So let's go ahead and see what is the formula. Formula say number of favorable outcomes to A upon total number of outcomes. Okay, now see what are the favorable in terms of this particular event that we have decided. Only one, right? What is number? I'm saying not 2. Some people write 2. No, 2 is not there. 2 is just that occurrence of 2. How many times 2 has occurred? If I have to see, only 1, not 2, correct? Now, how many total number of outcomes? Number of outcomes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is nothing but my probability. Understood?
Yes.
Guys, please mute yourselves. There is a lot of background noise. Okay. If you have understood, then solve this question. What is probability of occurrence of even numbers in rolling of a dice?
1/2.
1 upon 3.
1/2.
Right. All of you are very bright. Okay, let me do it for you. Okay, so see, one thing you have to see, okay, that I'll define after this. So what is rolling an even? Rolling an even number. Okay, so how many numbers are even here? 2, 4 and 6. Okay, so number of even upon number of total number of possible outcomes, correct? So number of even are 3, and how many total are there? 6, correct? So that is the reason we have told it is 1/2. Clear? Okay, now all of you have done it correctly. Okay, now let me define one thing for you.
দিয়ে আমার ওই ফোনে একটা ওটিপি গেছে বলো তো তাড়াতাড়ি ছোট ফোনে
Diptaroop, please mute yourselves. Okay. Coming back. Okay, so what I was saying is yeah, so how did we discuss, or from where we get this number and this number? Okay, there is a meaning to it. That is the reason I'm asking. How would we know that? How would we calculated the number of favorable favorable outcomes and number of total outcomes? Okay, now we saw, after we defined what is the probability of this particular event, we have to define how many outcomes are favorable to this one. Okay, so when we define that I have to roll an event, then we first of all, let's see how many total outcomes are there. Okay, so it can be 1, it can be 2, it can be 3, it can be 4, it can be 5, and it can be 6. Okay, okay, anything more than this can happen? No. Correct? If I roll a dice, this is the maximum, or you can say this is the total number of outcome that I can get, right? And I have to calculate, you know, the even numbers in a particular roll. Okay, now we have said that out of the total outcomes, how many or which are the even numbers? So 2, 4, and 6. Correct? Right? So these are two sets that we made, and while calculating the probability, we have just counted the number, right? But this is easy. Okay, counting the number is easy, but just to, for definition point of view, these two things are, you can say, this is set of events, set of the event that for which we are calculating the probability, and this is called the sample space. This is also a set, which is a set. Okay, set is nothing but collection of numbers. Correct? Don't stress yourself. It is not you know, that particular set which you have studied in Python. In a way, it is related to set theory, and obviously that is being used in the set that you have used in Python, but don't relate to that for now. Okay, okay, this is nothing but a collection of numbers, you can say. Okay, similarly here, from here and here, we can say these two are sets. This is a set of my event, and this is the total number of possible outcomes, okay, which is called sample space. Let's go ahead and define it. Okay, so we have seen how to calculate the probability. Okay, now let's see this example of, if a coin is tossed, what is the probability of getting a head? Okay, so number of favorable you know, outcomes related to head is getting a head is 1, obviously, because if I toss a coin, I can either get a head or a tail. Correct? If I get, now what is the probability of getting a head? So number of head you know, favorable in, you know, favorable outcome related to head is 1, and what is the total number of outcome possible? 1 plus 1, 2. Correct? So that is the reason it is nothing but the probability would be 1 upon 2. Clear? Okay, now let's define. So we have already defined what is random experiment. An experiment is said to be random experiment if its outcome cannot be predicted with certainty. Okay, that is the reason I told that, for example, if I, you know, toss a biased coin in which both the sides I have written head. Okay, in that way, I know I can predict what is the outcome. I can predict that every time I'll toss, I'll always get head. That is the reason that is not a random experiment. Random experiment would be when this particular coin is unbiased. Similarly, just imagine in quarantine, all of you are playing Ludo, correct? Now, I have tempered the Ludo, what you can say, this particular dice in a way that there are only, you know, 2, 3 numbers, 1, okay, 1, 4, and 6. Okay, only these 3 numbers. So there are 2 1s, 2 4s, and 2 6s. Based on, see, I can do anything. So I have scratched and put these numbers only and removed all others. Okay, so that is a biased sample. So in a way, I can predict. Okay, so I can predict in a way that what is the outcome, right? What is the outcome can be. Okay, or you can say it is biased, not predictable, but biased sample. Okay, I cannot predict it, but it is a biased. Whenever we are talking about biased sample, that doesn't come in a way in random experiment. Okay, random experiment has to be unbiased. Okay, and even if we are doing a bias, okay, so even if we are doing a bias, we have to define it before we are doing. Okay, so for example, if I'm telling that I'm rolling a biased coin, then I have to tell that what biasness I have done, or if I'm rolling a dice, what biasness I have done. Okay, in that way, then I have to see what are the sample space, or how many total number of outcome. Now, if I don't know the bias, so if I have to draw the sample space, can I write it like this? No, I cannot write. Why? Because 2, 3, and 5 are missing. Okay, so I have a problem in writing the sample space or the total number of outcomes. You understood? Now we have already defined sample space, which is nothing but set of all possible outcomes. Okay, so even in the formula, the total number of outcomes, okay, the total number of outcomes that we calculated from sample space. Okay, so that is nothing but the sample space, set of all possible outcomes which can be possible in any given experiment. Okay, so while while tossing a coin, it can be the sample space of head and tail. What would be the sample space of rolling 2 coin? It can be HH, TT, HT and TH, right? Similarly, you can make a sample space of rolling 3 coins. Similarly, you can make a sample space of rolling 2 dice, okay, or tossing 2 coin, my bad. Okay, you understand? So you have to make a set of all the possible outcome that can happen. So in a way, if I ask you, if I toss 2 coins, anything other than this can happen? Tell me. No, right? All of the outcome I have considered. Whenever I'll consider all of the outcome, that will become sample space. Okay, that's all. We have already defined event.
So
Okay.
Dhruv, so sample space can be, we can say, factorial of event, right?
Factorial of event?
Suppose if there are 3 event like rolling the dice, then it could be factorial of 3. My output can be 6. So factorial of 3 will be 6.
No. So you are only considering about no, it is not going it is not going in that way. Okay, so it is not going in that way. Okay. So in that way, if you see, if I roll 2 dice, what is the factorial of 2? It is 2, right?
Okay.
So it has 4. Don't relate it to that. I know what you are thinking, but not in that way. And to this is where you get wrong. And similarly, if I roll if I toss 3 coins, okay, so just think about it, how many outcomes would be there. Okay, you can make a sample space H, and then just do it. Okay, H T, okay, and then similarly HTH, like this you have to make. Okay. Okay, now we have already, guys, please mute. After you ask any question, then mute yourself. Okay, now we have already seen event. Okay, now every one of us know event, but theoretically it is said that every subset of the sample space. What is subset? So whenever we talk about a set, so I have defined a set like this. Okay, for example, so each element of this can be a subset, which is nothing but a set of that particular element, or a subset can also be like this. It should be equal to or less than the total set that we are talking about. What I mean to say is, a subset of this particular set S, let's say, can be written as either A or B or C or D or E, or AB or BC, or any combination of these. If you put, even if I write a set like this, A, B, C, D, E, that is in a way also a subset of S. So what is subset? Subset is not related to probability, is related to set theory, but then again I'm defining it for you. Okay, subset of a set is defined in that all the elements of that set, also all the elements of the subset should belong to the set. Okay, of a subset should belong to the original set. That means then I will call that particular thing, set as a subset. Okay, so in a way, so if you see, okay, it might look confusing, but it is not. Why I'm telling you. Okay, don't worry, I'm there, so I'll make you understand. Okay, so what I'm telling is, for example, let's talk about sample space. I have defined that every subset of a sample space. So we have told that sample space will contain all the sets, sorry, all the possible outcome of any experiment. Yes or no?
Yes.
Right? So this is all the possible outcome that can happen when I roll, or toss two coins. Sample space of tossing two coins, sorry. Okay, so this is the total number of outcomes that can happen when I toss two coins, correct? Now this is nothing but your universal set, or you can say anything, all of the possible outcomes are a part of this particular set. Anything cannot go beyond this. Yes. Now if I tell you that I have got a set like this, okay, so this is a subset of this. So what is the definition? All the element of the subset is also the element of this, should belong to original set. That means I have drawn from original only. So you can say this is a child of this parent. Okay, so this is a parent and this is child. That's all. So whenever, so it can, at most it can be equal to the parent node, right? And not more than that, either less or equal. Understood?
Yeah.
Okay. Now if even I can take individually also, I can make a set of only this also. Okay, so an event is nothing but a subset of sample space. Now all possible events, okay, if you have to calculate all the possible events, that is nothing but individual, all the events that are possible. Okay, it can be uncountable. For example, I'll give you an example why events can be uncountable is, let's say I have rolled a dice. Okay, I have rolled a dice. The outcome can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. Right? I can only define the outcome, but an event associated with it, I can define an event less than 3. This is also, so I have to calculate the probability of occurrence of less than 3, probability of even, probability of odd number, occurring odd number, probability of less than equal to 4. Okay, similarly probability of greater than 5, probability of occurrence of 1, probability of occurrence of 2, similarly probability of occurrence of 2 and let's say successive 2 and 5. So it can go on and on based on your imagination. The events that you can define out of it could go on and on, but always remember that that particular outcome would be drawn from this sample space only. Why? Because you cannot roll anything other than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and I have taken everything here in the sample space. Okay, understand? So nothing can go beyond this. No one can come to me and tell me, Dhruv, I can roll a 7. You cannot do that, right? So in a way, everything that you consider as an event will be subset of this or a child of this particular thing. Okay, clear? Now let's go ahead and see more complex type of event, or not complex but more defined event. Okay, so there are equally likely event. So equally likely events are nothing but if two events or more than two events even are, if the probability of occurrence of the events are same. Okay, so for example, if an unbiased dice is thrown, then probability of occurrence of 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 is nothing but 1/6, right? All of this has the probability of having 1/6, right? So I can say that the event of rolling a 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 are equally likely events. No rocket science. Let's go ahead and see what are exhaustive events. So we saw that sample space contain all the possible outcome. Okay, now whenever we consider every possible outcome of an experiment, then we call at exhaustive events. That means we have exhausted all the possibilities that could have in that particular experiment. So when I'm talking about an experiment of tossing a coin, this is my set of exhaustive event that is happening of head or tail. Nothing else can happen. So I have taken all the events that are associated with it. Similarly, if I talk about rolling a dice, then I have taken exhausted all these events. Okay, so that are set of exhaustive events. Correct. So in a way, if I tell you, if I add the probability of all the exhaustive events, what would be it add up to?
1.
Is it understood? Like if I roll a 1, the probability is 1 by 6, right? If I roll a 2, probability is 1 by 6. Then if I roll a 6 up to, the probability is 1 by 6. If you add, it would be 1, right? Similarly, let's look at here. What is the probability of tossing a head? What is the probability of tossing a tail? 1 by 2. Anyone has any confusion in how I am calculating the probability?
No.
No.
Okay, so if you add these, you would get 1. Okay, so if you add the probabilities of all the exhaustive event, it would add up to 1. Clear? Now comes
Dhruv, one
yes.
thing. In the last slide, so equally likely events and exhaustive events are same basically.
No, not same, I'm saying. Okay, so say for example, okay, let me give you a quick example. It is not same. Okay,
Because for both we are like considering complete sample space.
Okay, let's see. I have a bowl. Okay, let's see. I have a bowl. Now there are 2 red balls and let's say 3 black balls. Okay, what is the probability of red ball?
2 by 5, yeah.
What is probability of black ball?
3 by 5.
Now if you add probability of red plus probability of black, it would be 1.
1, yeah.
Right? Why? Because I have taken all the possibilities, right? Either you will draw a red ball or a black ball, correct? You understand?
Right. So this
Right.
is what, equally likely or exhaustive?
You tell me.
So we have
What is definition of equally likely event?
If the probability of occurrence, so in that case, red and blue, probability of occurrence is not same. So those are not equally likely.
Equally likely, right?
Okay. So these are exhaustive events.
Right. So exhaustive event, see, exhaustive event is nothing. See, equally likely event, you can say that it is equally likely event or it is not. Okay. But whenever we are talking about exhaustive event, we are only taking consideration of all the possible outcome as a probability. You understand what I'm trying to say? That for example, if I do an experiment, if I consider all the possible outcomes, okay, and make it as an event, that means I'll have a set of the exhaustive events.
Right.
Right.
All events have come under it.
Correct. But equally likely events are the events, set of events in which the probability of occurrence are same. Right. For example, if I had, let's say 3 green balls also. Okay. So if I would have calculated, let's say 3 to 5 plus 3, 8, it would have been 2 by 8. It would have been 3 by 8. And again, green would have been 3 by 8. Now, these are nothing but, these two are nothing but equally likely event.
Okay. Blue
Correct?
and green.
Why? Because the probability are same. Correct? Now, if I have to set, even in this, if I have to find out the exhaustive event, which are nothing but red, green, and black ball, drawing of those as an event. Okay, this is nothing but a set. See, you are talking about an event. Now, if I have to pick anything, I can pick from exhaustive set of events. Nothing can go beyond that. Yes or no? In a way, that nothing can go beyond sample space. Clear?
Okay, so exhaustive events are basically complete set, means sample
Set.
space we are referring.
Not sample space. Sample space is a set, and exhaustive events are set of events. Okay. So for example, if I roll a dice, getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, if I consider all the events together, that means I have taken set of exhaustive events that are exhaustive in nature. Even if I remove any event, let's say I remove 5, occurrence of 5, then that is not set of exhaustive events, right?
Okay, I have to take all the events from my set, then I will refer to it as exhaustive. Fine, get it.
Okay. Now let's go ahead and see what are mutually exclusive, or it is also called the disjoint event, and we will also see what are independent event. Okay, usually people get confused. We are not going to get confused in these two. Okay, we'll see what is it. Okay, now mutually exclusive events are the events if it cannot happen simultaneously. What I mean to say is, for example, if I get a head in a toss of a coin, at the same time I cannot get a tail. Yes, no?
Yes.
Right? What I mean to say, see, it looks simple for now. Okay, it looks simple, but you have to pay attention. Okay, like for example, I'm tossing the coin for only one time. Okay, that means it can either be head or a tail, not together. Occurrence cannot be simultaneous. Clear? Similarly, if I tell you, if I'm going on a road, okay, turning left or turning right cannot happen simultaneously. Clear? Right? I can either turn left or I can either turn right. I cannot be present on both the, both the positions, right? That means if I define an event as what is the probability, let's say I'm defining an event that turning left as an event, okay, and turning right as an event. These two events, E1 and E2, cannot happen simultaneously, period. Okay. Now, if I have a set of, let's say, 52 cards in a deck, there are 52 cards. Okay. Now, getting a king and getting an ace as an event cannot happen simultaneously. Yes or no? Either you will get a king or an ace. If I just draw one card, right? So if two or more events cannot occur simultaneously, then those two events, or three events, are called mutually exclusive. Is it clear, or any confusion left? Okay. Now let's go ahead and see what are independent events. This was exclusive event. Okay, understood. Okay, now tell me what is independent event. Then I'll tell you that if any two events, or even more than that, okay, if I tell you that, let's say there are two events that I'm telling, that let's say event one, I'm telling that okay, let's see first dependent event. For example, I'm saying event one as rain tomorrow. This is, I'm defining as an event. Let's say I'm defining the another event as getting a rainbow. Okay, so you can say E2 is dependent upon E1, right? So rainbow cannot come without you can say rain. Scientifically, I'm not very sure, but it should not happen, right? So I can say that E2 is dependent upon E1. Yes or no? guys?
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
Right? Now this was about dependent event. Let's go ahead and see what are, you know, independent event. For example, okay, let me go here. We have already, okay, let me tell you that if I am tossing a coin, okay, tossing a coin, so this is my coin. I'm not writing head or tail because I don't want to show you what it contains as an you know, outcome. Now let's see, I have got head, again head, again head. Let's say I got 3 times head. Okay, okay, let's say what is the probability of getting head in the 4th attempt also? What is the probability?
One.
1/2.
Right, all of you are right. That means these occurrences did not actually affect the occurrence of the 4th time. What I told you, understand? So knowingly or unknowingly, you guys decided that even in the 4th time, it won't be decided on what I got in the previous 3 or previous 4 or previous 5, right? Here we took, you know, if it is a 4th, you know, 4th toss, then obviously we are considering previous 3. Then the 4th toss is not dependent upon any of the previous tosses, correct? That means, in other words, I can say that occurrence of head in the 4th toss is independent of occurrence of head in any of the previous tosses. It would have been 1/2 even if this was the case, HTH or TTT. Yes or no? Here also occurrence of head had the probability of 1/2. Here also 1/2. Or probability is nothing but the chance. So you can say that occurrence in the 4th toss is independent of occurrence in all the previous tosses.
Yeah.
Right? So in that way, all of you who did, or even all of you who did not answer and know that it is going to be 1/2 only, that means they have in their mind that it is independent of the occurrence. Okay, so that means 2 events are said to be you know, independent if, you know, occurrence or non-occurrence of any of them does not affect the probability of occurrence of or non-occurrence of the other event. Okay, now doesn't matter if the head has come or tail has come, or any you know, any combination of these will not affect the occurrence of this particular thing. In that way, I can say that this is a example of independent event. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now you will say that, Dhruv, you have told us about mutually exclusive and independent event. See, mathematically, I can go one level deeper also, but I am hard stopping here. Okay. Why? Because usability is not so much. Okay. You may ask that, you know, if mutually exclusive and independent events are same. No, it is not same. Okay. It is not same. But in some cases, usually mutually exclusive becomes equal to independent event. Okay, that I would have, you know, shown you mathematically also, but for now I'm not doing it because that requires a bit of probability concept, which will come later. Okay, so if I get time and if you have some interest, then we can come to this particular concept later and define when these 2 things would be equal or not. Okay, so it uses conditional probability, which we will study after some time. Okay, but even if you don't you know, see that, you have to keep in mind that the usability of mutually exclusive and mutually independent event. So mutually exclusiveness is used when the events are taken from the same experiment. Okay, this is observation, this is my observation. Okay, whereas independence of the events is used when events are taken from different experiment. This is an observation. Okay, okay, so this is usually you would see you know, difference between mutually exclusive and non-mutually exclusive. Okay, clear? these, see, in interviews you would be asked these questions theoretically. Okay, what are mutually exclusive events, or they will give you a set of 2 events and they will ask you whether those 2 events are mutually exclusive or not. Would you be able to answer them?
Yes.
Yeah, Dhruv.
Yes.
Okay, same goes for independent and dependent event also. Okay. Okay, and needless to mention that if you know mutually exclusive, then you can also define what is mutually inexclusive. Whatever is not mutually exclusive is mutually inexclusive, right?